Hello, Facebook world. It's Celeseah from the Mission of Love Foundation and the UK teacher of Ipsalu Tantra Kriya Yoga. So today I'd like to do a little introduction and offer up a space for any questions that people may have for Ipsalu Tantra in general, and in particular about the upcoming level 1 that we have in the UK over the Easter weekend in Glastonbury. So I can see that there's nobody in here yet. It makes it a little bit strange when you feel as though you're speaking to yourself. But just to let you know a little bit about my history with Ipsalu. So I've been on this journey of spiritual awakening, or as a spiritual seeker for all of my life, really. As a young child and certainly as a teenager, I delved into the deeper mysteries and was very interested in anything that was, shall we say, known as the supernatural or magic or mystical. Being a Scorpion, we're all about deep mystery, so it really called to my soul. And in my probably early 20s, I started to do a lot of meditation practices following people like Diana Cooper, and who was very much was the angel lady at the time. And she also talked a lot about the Ascended Masters as well. And one of those Ascended Masters was the Ascended Master Babaji that you can see a picture of behind me. And so I got very much into what they call a visualization meditation, and went on journeys with various teachers, in particular a very local teacher to me who was very much into ascension meditation, was actually a graduate and I think one of the original teachers of Diana Cooper. And we were doing a lot of what we call light body activations through these ascension meditations and journeys. So that led me on to really coming into a different mindset from the people around me, seeing things very differently from really the 3D world. That I say the 3D world is more of an unawakened place where we have a different mindset from the higher mind or the higher self. And I discovered through my journey that I was very empathic, very clairsentient, that I feel energy, and also at the time I had already done and explored being initiated into Reiki energy. And I think at the time, early 20s, I was, towards mid-20s, I was certainly doing Reiki level 1, and then went on to do Reiki level 2 and then master level a few years later. But for me, there was something about the journey that was missing, and what was missing was a union in bringing the sacred into, shall we say, love, relationship and sexuality. And I always had quite a passion and an interest anyway in sexuality. I was very open sexually. I have not really experienced any real trauma. I feel so blessed because I know there's so many people who've experienced much trauma through relationship and also through sexual expressions. So for me, it was it did seem to be a different journey. My relationships weren't necessarily completely healthy. I think, it's very few people who have a real healthy relationship. But there were certainly dysfunctional levels there. but from a shall we say, a sexual expression. And I felt that it was very, very loving. And I didn't really experience any form of abuse in that way. So for me, the journey of going into Tantra and looking at that from a, shall we say, a sacred sexuality point of view, um, that wasn't really in my psyche. It was more for me. I'd heard the word. I had no idea what it was about. But my journey was about seeking truth. And I looked at many different forms of disciplines. I studied Buddhism. I studied, I looked at Kundalini yoga, at, Brahmas, Kumaris, and all of these lineages, the Kriya yoga tradition as well. They all seem to have some element of renunciation, which didn't seem right for me. I'd also explored a lot of past lives through my journey, done a lot of healing past lives. Many past lives came up, and I understood from my journey that a lot of my past lives, I had already done a lot of journeys and spiritual practices where there was some kind of renunciation. And that certainly is not my path at the moment. Interestingly, when I was exploring the Buddhist tradition and also received the highest tantric empowerments, there was a situation where one of the monks actually did say to me at an Atara empowerment that how I would make a wonderful nun. And I remember going away from that experience and thinking, well, that's certainly not going to be in this lifetime. So, yeah, for me, this lifetime was about actually just really bringing the sacred into the ordinary life, and making that magical and extraordinary. And so I came across Tantra, and there was only a couple of Tantra teachers at the time in the UK. In fact, the first ones that I ever went to were only doing, I believe, one course at the time called Introduction to Tantra, and that was Hannah and Martin of Transcendence, which I know a lot of the UK community know of. And I went along to this weekend, and it was absolutely wonderful. I didn't know what to expect, but I was a bit scared, to be quite honest, but it was absolutely wonderful and very empowering, I felt, and held in such an amazing way that I wanted to know more. And I was told by, I believe, Hannah at the time that to seek out Sarita and Geo. If Sarita obviously is now, teaching on her own with Tantra Essence. And Geo, I believe, retired from teaching Tantra several years ago. So I was completely hooked, and I signed up to their their year's singles training. And several of the teachers that we see out there, Tantra teachers in the UK and in Europe, were also on that particular course. So this was a long time ago, and so it's really lovely to see how they have gone through their journey and what service work they do. And it was actually at my third ever workshop, second ever with Sarita and Gail, that I was sitting in a group meditation, and the meditation was called Liberation. And it was a bit like a mandala that we made with humans, and we were paired up, and I was working with somebody, and that's when I had a full-blown Kundalini activation. I couldn't really speak about it. It was quite a large group, and I was just assimilating things, but it was a very, very blissful experience for me. and it completely changed my life. And I was in that state for nearly 6 months, coming out of it the day of the tsunami, several months later. And suddenly, during that time, my senses were heightened, my psychic, although I was pretty psychic anyway, I had gone to a whole new level. And I remember returning from this particular course, and I remember receiving emails, and I didn't know where the emails had come from. And the emails were something from like Babaji Net. And I thought, wow, I don't even know how I haven't signed up to anything. And you've got to remember, all these years ago, we didn't have internet like we have now. We certainly didn't have Facebook, and I think it was some kind of wireless dial-up thing that we had, and I don't even think I had a mobile phone, to be honest, back then. So technology wasn't the way that it was, and it was really interesting that I was receiving these messages from this place that was linked with Babaji. And through those couple of emails that I got, I came to learn about the Kriya Yoga. And so I went on to do 2 levels of initiation directly with Satyananda's Kriya Yoga tradition. And I was thinking about going on to the 3rd level, but the 3rd level was really the teacher training. And there was something within me that was not completely resonating with me to take that step forward. But my relationship with Babaji that I had actually already had intact and was deepening from all those years ago with the Ascension meditation. It was just deepening and growing, and I felt as though Babaji was like every step of the way leading me to my next phase of my journey and what I needed to learn. And through my trainings with Sarita and Geo, one day I got a resounding, I need to find authentic Tantra. And I didn't really understand it at the time, because for me, Tantra in my heart and soul has always felt authentic. And I don't want to speak very much about this, but I know, people who know me, people who have come to my courses and have heard me speak about Tantra, even back then, there was a lot of I was aware that there was a lot of diversity with Tantra, and it was open to different expressions, shall we say. And for me, it was important to find the sense of an authentic lineage, and something that resonated personally with me. I came across this book called Jewel in the Lotus, which is actually the book that was wrote by the founders of Ipsalu Tantra Kriya Yoga, Bodhi Avanasha. It was co-authored with her, shall we say, teacher and partner at the time, many, many years ago, Sunyata Saraswati. And Bodhi and Sunyata Saraswati got together many, many years ago, and they formed a relationship, and not just and things were shared between them, and together. He came from a very much a lineage background, and from Yogananda. He worked with Yogananda, and he was told from a very young age that he would be a Kriyaban, and he would follow the Kriya tradition, but he would also be a tantric Kriyaban, which is obviously he would follow the tantric path. And Bodhi was very inspired by Osho, at the teachings of Osho, and she was in America. She is American, and so therefore she was very inspired by Osho's teachings and the emotional work that he, advocated. And there was a belief that a lot of the paths that renunciate things, that there is some kind of bypassing, shall we say, where the emotions and the feelings are pushed downwards and not really addressed. And we see this quite a lot in many different forms of different practices. And so therefore, with all of the experience that Sunyata had got, because he travelled the world exploring lots of different really elite paths, which were not really open to the public. He was an amazing person. Unfortunately, I never got the opportunity to meet Sunyata, but I really wish that I had, and he passed in 2014. But Bodhi spent all this time, and together they really decided to look at all the practices that he had experienced, and with her knowledge and wisdom also, and their connection both to Babaji, this Ipsalu Tantra Kriya Yoga formula was formed. And it was formed in such a way that it is a lot of the best practices. They felt that were the best practices to activate the body, which is the first stage of the Ipsalu formula, still the mind, arouse the creative sexual energy. So we get like really, the vital forces is flowing through the body and activated, and then transmuting that energy. Now, the transmutation that they found was the best form was actually what they call the Babaji Cosmic Cobra Breath, a very, very powerful and sacred pranayama. It's not been wrote down, and people in the past have said, oh well, I've seen the Cobra Breath online and you can see it, and believe me, I have checked, and I'm a sort of the person that actually does a lot of research, and I'm always constantly on the lookout to see if anybody is shall we say regurgitating Bodhi's work, because this is her life's work and it's a fabulous practice. And there are some things wrote down, but I can guarantee you that there are certain things missing from those things that have been written down. And even those who have been initiated into the path, levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, they all have different, shall we say, are designed differently to do different things in order to prepare our physical and light bodies and energy bodies for safe awakening of the Kundalini, because it can be quite challenging when you awaken your Kundalini if it's not prepared. And Bodhi and Sunyata have tried their best to create a practice that is supportive of a safe journey to this higher consciousness through the awakening of the Kundalini, which is absolutely marvelous. But the Cobra Breath that is taught in the level 1 actually awakens the root chakra, your base chakra, which obviously that's where the Kundalini sits, and then starts to rise up. And it also allows the awakening of the third eye. The reason why it's designed to awaken the third eye is because we like to, we feel that with this not awakened, it's very difficult to actually go and catch the awareness that we need to be aware of and notice and pay attention to if we want to change things in our lives. So having this third eye activated and continually activated and worked on will increase the awareness and your levels of consciousness. So therefore, anything that is coming up in the emotional bodies and mental bodies and physical bodies can be brought into awareness and then dealt with in a more graceful way. So that is the whole point of actually the first level. Now, the first level is a weekend. It's not changed at all since Bodhi and Sunyata, I believe, used to teach it together. They used to teach it, I think, without a formal course. It was just more of a a correspondence, not a correspondence course, but I think it was just, it wasn't so wrote down. But a lot of the things in the Jewel and the Lotus, the Jewel and the Lotus is a very experiential book. If anybody wants to buy that, there are individual practices for people who are solo and doing the practices on their own. But there's also every lesson also has a section for if you're working in partnership, so the couples can actually do the practices together. The only thing that really isn't in that book is obviously the Cobra Breath, because we uphold the ancient tradition of passing that on by orally. So you need to come to the courses to receive that initiation. And it's a very, very, the way that it's done, that particular part of the initiation, it is really like a sacred ritual, and it's very, very lovely to give and receive. So it's a little bit difficult because I can't see anybody on here. I'm not sure whether I have got one person on, or it might just be me. But I'd love to invite people to maybe watch this back. And if there are any questions, that you want to ask in Pacific, please put them in the comments, and then I'll get back to you, or I might just do little lives throughout the week. One of the reasons why I'm doing this live is because we are literally, it's 4 weeks today before our UK level 1 in Glastonbury. It starts on the 10th of April, and it starts on the evening from around 6 o'clock in the evening, and it goes on till Sunday around 6:30, 7 o'clock on the evening. It is quite an intensive course, and it is their signature course. And what's really important about this particular course, personally also for me, is that I have been the UK representative teacher for many, many years. I came to Ipsalu around 2002. And there was no courses at all happening in Europe. There was no courses at all happening in the UK. And it was just not possible to have access to that. Hello, Roshani. Nice to see you. And things have changed now, now that the technology is out there, and we have, more teachers, and certainly more teachers that are, around the world, different parts of the world, and a lot more in Europe, shall we say. We're able to bring these courses more and more and more, especially the level 1s, because they're the feeder weekend courses that can feed into the higher level and the advanced courses. So the level 2 is something like 5 days. I think it's 4 full days over 5 days. And then we have the level 3, which is a full week. And then the level 4 is, again, I believe it's 5 days over 5 days. So and they're absolutely amazing. And as a requirement with Ipsalu, we're not an organization where we like to rush people through. As I say, we love to create a beautiful, safe space for everybody, in order to really embody these practices, get the best out of the practices. So we encourage at least a 6-month gap between, and a regular practice during those 6 months in order to go on to the next level. But the level 1 courses are so important because probably, as you know, that many people start off on a journey, and it takes total commitment and dedication to continue the journey, because there's often so many distractions happen in life, and things get in the way. And we have choices to make. Well, just life happens, and it is, it is really great that we can sort of come together and have these gatherings, do these level 1 practices, build the community, and then actually we can feed in more people. Because, as you know, I mean, I've been to several courses, and I've thought, yeah, I'll go on to that one, and then I might have plans to maybe continue for, I don't know, the next few levels, or the ones that they've got out there, and then something happens in the way, or it doesn't resonate and things like that. But I do believe that this practice is absolutely amazing. It hasn't been easy for me being in the UK, to be honest, as I say, because a lot of the teachers and a lot of the higher level courses have always been over the pond and outside. And I have, like, as a householder myself, with 3 small children all those years ago, it was not just the money, it was also the time to get away and get babysitters to look after. So I'm really grateful that we have got a growing team now, and that we have the technology to start to support and pull the family together. And I've really watched some great things happening with some of our global satsangs, which tend to be online now. And Bodhi's often present, although Bodhi is retired now from teaching. She does attend our teacher calls, and she often does have a little bit of time on the satsangs, which is really great because we can tap into her wisdom and her energy. And I know everybody who actually has never met Bodhi, when they feel her on the calls, they feel so uplifted, and they just think she's an absolutely amazing person. I'm so privileged because I am probably one of the few teachers, and certainly outside of the US, who have had the privilege of working with all of the senior teachers. I did my teacher training with Bodhi Avanasha. I assisted Bodhi the last time she was ever in the UK, which I believe was 2006. I had the privilege of knowing Pat Sheehan. She was my mentor through the practicum, because you can also do the level 1 through a correspondence course with a mentor. However, that's not a replacement for the level 1 in-person course. We say that that's something to start you off with. But we encourage you to, especially if you want to go on to the higher levels, it's encouraged that you come to a level 1 course, because it's a completely different experience. And also the level 1 courses, in fact, all of the courses I've done, level 1, 2 and 3 several times now. They all have a different flavour because the group is different. Often, sometimes, if you're lucky, the teacher's different as well. And, each teacher has their own essence, their own flavour. So that's always really exciting. And that's why we also offer, as an organisation, reduced costs for repeaters and graduates of IPSALU. So we encourage you to, tap in to these courses and, join us. But personally, just getting back to my personal wish for this particular course, the teacher training with IPSALU is quite, how can I say it? Again, it's not a rush thing. So they really want to make sure that their teachers are delivering their signature courses the way that they're designed to be delivered. And so they take pride in actually supporting the teachers to make sure that the techniques and the course are delivered exactly the way they wanted, in terms of their code of conduct, the, shall we say, the what's the word, their integrity, to maintain the integrity of the courses and the practices, which is so important. And so therefore what happens is that when we go through an accreditation, we bring over the senior teacher to supervise the whole course, which obviously that is quite expensive to do, because obviously the person who's being trained, or the host or the organizer, would pay for the teacher to come over. So that is absolutely, this is why it's so important for me, because up until now, although I've been a long-standing teacher, I have always taught in the remit that I've been allowed to. I've always wanted to respect the boundaries of the organisation. And I think that's really important. And so therefore, it feels the right time now, because I have my own work, and I'm not necessarily so much of a follower, but but for me, Ipsalu is my go-to practice. It is probably my only daily practice that I do. It's the one thing that I always come back to. I have a fantastic relationship with Babaji long before Ipsalu, and he guides me all of the way. And I just feel that he has something, this practice has something to give us, particularly in these chaotic times, because even without doing the practice, just learning the Cobra Breath alone, and just doing 1 or 2 breaths, and we only advocate really seven breaths a day, up to a maximum of 14, so that's not a lot of time. It really centers you, it really brings you into center, brings you back into balance like that, so quick. It's like magical. Not only that, it actually vitalizes the body, it boosts the immune system. All of the practices are designed about rejuvenation. We even have a practice called the Immortal's Wand, which is a beautiful practice, and they say that royalty actually used to do that practice for immortality. And if you look at any picture of Babaji, you will notice his androgynous look, because I do feel that he is probably one of the only masters that is referred to as being completely balanced in the masculine and feminine energies. He's also known in the New Age a little bit that he actually is known as the Christed yogi. There are stories to say that Christ did spend time in the lineage and learned Kriya Yoga. He's also known as the father of the lineage. So at the moment, we are so happy to be offering this level 1 at Easter in Glastonbury. The reason why it's in Glastonbury, because I'm actually on a workshop that week, a very powerful workshop where I'm doing some womb work. So I'm going to be in a really sort of juicy, heightened state by the time we get to the Friday. And I just thought it would be so amazing to bring this fabulous initiation weekend to the heart chakra of the world, especially at this time in 2020, where we're really grounding in the new paradigm. And we've got a beautiful new centre where the venue is now going to be the Avalon Community Centre. I spoke to the gentleman last night, and he is amazing, and he said this would be so perfect for here. So what I'm asking everybody to do is that there's been quite a lot of interest, but as always, people tend to wait for last minute bookings. And because of the logistics of this particular course, we've got Nyano waiting for our flight to be booked, and everything to do with that. We've got manuals to be printed off for you, your certificates to be printed off for you, obviously ready for you at the end of the course. So we've only 4 weeks away. So what I'm asking for is that for those of you who really want to be here, we're a little bit short on our quota at the moment, but I'm asking you to please consider booking by the end of this week, because that gives us, only 3 weeks then to really get all the logistics in place, and that would be really helpful for both myself and Nyano and Alandro, who will be assisting me with things. So I'm going to be offering a discount, a small discount for singles, because it's not going to be a large group. We're not going to have the group of 20-30 people. We have a maximum of around 15 to 16 people, and that's a beautiful number we find for the work of Ipsalu. And also we find that we want to give individual attention as well, to and really hold this beautiful space for you. So we just need a few more people to sign up. So any individual who signs up before Saturday, please contact me, and you can have the price for £330. If you bring a friend, you can both have it for 300. So that is the offer that I'm giving to you, and I would love to see you. It is my wish to be further in service with this particular Ipsalu. My calling is because Bodhi is retired, she's getting older, bless her. Nyano, the senior teacher, is really the only senior teacher now who is able to do level 1, 2, 3, and 4 around the world. And her time is limited. So we need these beautiful teachings to be preserved and shared more and more with the world. So I hope that you have enjoyed my little talk, and as I say, please do give me, write comments in here, anything else you want to know about Babaji, the lineage, any practices. There's quite a lot of information already on this particular page, because I do tend to put a lot of the historical things like Bodhi's videos. There's some stuff I think with Sunyata, even old videos, old recordings. Obviously look up Ipsalu Tantra.org, and everything's on there. And I hope to see you this Easter. Anyway, lots of love. Namaste. And thank you, Roshani, who is our administrator at Ipsalu HQ in America over the pond. Lots of love. Bye.